You are listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, hosted by Erin Walker and Heather Dyer.
We're on a mission to inspire other home cooks just like us to be brave and try something new. Let's learn to cook better and eat great food.
So it's a recipe that I have been inspired-ish by reading, and it is a Sheetpan kebab. Hello, and welcome to Three Kitchens Podcast. I am your host today, Erin Walker, and coming along with me is my very lovely Heather Dyer co-host.
Thank you. I'm your very lovely Heather Dyer. Is that nice? Oh, so sweet.
I don't know. The words are not coming out of the mouth right because we pressed record. We've been talking for 45 minutes, but as soon as we press record, it's like, oh, what am I saying?
I don't know how to talk now.
Hello. Well, I'm just kind of having some thoughts about how I want to go about our discussion today. So it's a recipe that I have been inspired-ish by reading. And I know you're a bookworm. You're always listening, reading. How many books do you generally have on the go?
I think right now I have 3.
Okay.
But one I haven't revisited in a little while because every time I try to read it, it's usually, mostly I read on my Kindle at night before I go to sleep. And this one, even though I find it very interesting, it puts me to sleep, unfortunately.
No, well, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
No, but I can't stay awake to read it. So it's very slow go. So I got 2 that I'm actively reading. Yeah. How about you?
That sounds about right. I'm usually reading something with my kids still.
Oh.
So that usually adds into my block of stuff. Yeah, I would say I have about plus an oh, does that include your audiobooks?
I don't have an audio at the moment, but I would count that as another one if I did.
Okay, so I would say I'm at 4 now. So I love how so many of the books that I read, between you and me, we read a really diverse landscape of books. I love all the food that's always in books. And we often talked about this, how much authors and stories have food and recipes in them that make you feel like you could walk into the scene and taste or smell what they're eating.
Yeah, it almost is another character in the story.
Yeah.
Like food can be, I was thinking of like chocolat. You know, if you haven't read the book, but there's a movie and the chocolate is such a character in the movie. I can't remember exactly, but she chooses the chocolate for the other character. And it becomes such an association with the person. And it's almost like its own character.
And I read a book a while back, and the title of the book was Black Cake. And it was kind of how this recipe lived on through generations in the family. And it really did. It became another character in the book of how, you know, when they went back and found all the ingredients that mom had used to make this, because it's always these recipes that have like a sourdough starter kind of ingredient that has to be fed or kept or mixed one way. And then you're almost making your own ingredient that goes into a recipe.
I was thinking of a book and I just wanted to quickly grab the title of it. Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Have you read this?
Okay, I haven't, but I think you've recommended it to me before.
The author is Jessie Q. Santo, and it's about this tea shop owner, the Vera Wong. And the reason I had to look it up is because I always want to say Vera Wang, obviously.
Yeah. Wedding dress or book.
Yeah, and it just gets stuck on it. So it's Vera Wong. Someone is discovered murdered in her tea shop.
Oh.
And so then it's all the characters who are kind of connected to him, and she's trying to figure out which one of them murdered him. And in the course of it, her deal is she cooks for everyone. And some of the descriptions of the food that she's making, and even the tea, when she's brewing tea and how she chooses what elements, like what herbs go in the tea, it's very much a part of like every scene of the book.
Wow.
Makes you hungry.
Oh, absolutely. So the current book that I'm reading that has inspired today's recipe is one of the Booker Prize novels of 2025, because I'm never ahead enough to get through the novels that are shortlisted or longlisted or whatever before the anything is announced, and I'm always reading things far into the year
Do you make
after.
do you make a point of reading them every
I
year?
do.
Oh,
I do. I often follow the Booker and the Giller. I don't always love the books, but I always enjoy the challenge in some of the books because they are a little bit different. They tend to stick with me.
Do you find it difficult to get your hands on them though? Like that's what I have found in the past when I've tried to read books off lists that I can't
You
get them
have
at
to
the
be
library.
online the day they announce it, so you can go and put your holds in place right away.
And then they all come through at once.
It is a complete mess of me trying to. I think I got through like 4 of the books before the prizes were announced this year, and I was like, this is the best I've ever done. Anyway, so I'm not done yet, as you can see where my bookmark is.
Huh?
But I'm reading The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny
Never heard of it.
by Kieran
Sigh?
Desai, is what I was going to guess and say. Anyway, shout out to an author that was on the Booker Prize, shortlisted, and it is about 2 Indian children from a similar location in near New Delhi, I believe, in India, and their journey to be educated and live in America, but still be attached to home and their family, and like very slow burn, long history of the family of both of them. Anyway, interesting story, a lot about Indian culture. They're upper class Indian people that have cooks and people that are employed by them that do all of their stuff. And one of the cooks in one of the families is very well known for making his kebabs.
Okay.
And I never would have, like, that's not the first food I would have thought of with Indian cooking.
It's a big country and
Big
there's
country.
probably a lot of variation in what you find across. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
And I feel like we've done a lot of South Indian cooking, and this being from New Delhi, and it kind of crosses with Pakistan in the cooking stuff, and so it's kind of an interesting fusion of foods.
I think there's a lot of other influences in Indian cooking, even the British, because the British colonized and were there for quite some time. And something like butter chicken is actually a British dish, I believe. So, like, there's a lot of things that we know as Indian that maybe are influenced very much from other places, which is, I mean, to me, it's all great. Like, I love that it's all mix of things and influence from here, and somebody traveled and brought this from there, and like, I mean, clearly it's delicious, whatever they're doing. Now, is this the kind of book that has recipes, or do they just mention what they're?
Well, there's no
eating?
recipes.
Okay.
No. The patriarch of the family dies, and the woman who lives across the street tries to steal the cook, come over and get the cook to come work for her, and they catch her trying to, oh, you should come and work in my house now that your master is gone. Come work for me because he makes the best
Kebabs. I bet you that was a common thing in wealthy families, not just in India, but like lots of places where they employed help like that. It's like, oh, now's my chance to poach the cook from so-and-so down the street or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's a slow burn, but I'm enjoying the read so far. And it put me on to a recipe that I had come across a while back, and I thought, ooh, I have a recipe for a kebab I've been wanting to try, and it is a sheetpan kebab. And it's made with ground meat that gets mixed together with blended and strained vegetables, kind of like those sausage patties a couple years back when Deborah Johnson was on our podcast from the cookbook on Rising.
On Rising. It was all about brunch and
All
starting your day. Oh, that's such a good book too.
It was such a wonderful, great feeling book. Anyway, so this has the similar method where we're putting in these blended vegetables in with the meat, and then you're going to lay it out on a sheet pan and kind of divide it up a little bit and bake it and broil it in your oven.
Oh, so what's you can cut this out if you don't know, because I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but what's the definition of a kebab? Because I kind of felt like a kebab goes on a skewer. No?
Well, I don't know. That's a really
It may just be my preconceived, I made that up in my own mind and it's actually not
so
true.
from the pictures and or videos that I've seen people making this type of sheet pan kebab before, it ends up being like a strip of ground beef that you can take out and you wrap it up in a flatbread with some fresh vegetables that you've made into a bit of a salad, serve
Ooh,
it with like a little drizzle of a sauce, and voila. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. And I feel like that's what we do with a lot of kebab like
just no
things.
skewer. You
Just
don't
this
have to
is
grill
like,
it,
yeah,
right? The kebab is for grilling.
I feel like that's just there to support the meat while you cook it. And I'll bet dollars to donuts that traditionally this is cooked over an open flame or some sort of barbecue. This is an easy weeknight, hopefully sheet pan dinner that you can kind of and make up maybe even ahead of time so that if you've got kids going to places, you've got all the pieces together.
Ooh, I love it. I like the idea of the blended vegetables too.
It should be really quick to make because it's baking for 15 minutes and then broiling it at the end to brown it a bit. Like quick and easy. The salad that's going to go in there is an onion and tomato wedge salad with parsley, lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and sumac. So I
Sounds
like
delicious.
those flavors. And then the sauce is called a tahina sauce.
Sounds good.
And then, because I just can't stop myself, Heather,
It's the podcast that keeps on giving.
right? It's the podcast that keeps on making us work.
Oh, who's in charge around here?
I,
Who's
I
giving us all
know.
this work, anyways?
Who's this damn boss?
Take it to the management?
Yeah. Complaint to myself. I'm also going to try making a flatbread for this because I found a recipe for a flatbread that is equal weights of self-raising flour and plain yogurt, and that's it.
Oh,
Salt and olive oil. And you just pop this all together, knead it, let it sit for 20 minutes, break it into chunks, roll them out, fry them in a little pan. So
sounds good.
it sounds good and fast. And maybe I can make something a little more square shaped ish so that when I put my little strip of meat or what, I don't know, we'll see how this all works out.
Sounds good. Love it.
Hey, listener, we are just blown away by the kindness and generosity of our guests on the podcast. They lend us their time and share their knowledge with all of us so we can learn and be better cooks and bakers at home.
If you enjoy our guest episodes, please see their links in the show notes. Go follow and support them if you can. And if you have an idea for a guest, please send us a message. We'd love to hear it. Now, let's get back to the episode.
So, you had a breakfast, we had a dinner consisting of sheet pan kebabs.
Sure did.
Lots of little working pieces that went into it, but man, they were all really easy to make and not super time consuming. The only thing that was maybe the step out of what I would normally do was making the flatbread. Honestly, you don't have to make your own flatbread. I just thought I'd try a recipe. This would be just as good with a regular flatbread that you like.
I might beg to differ.
Oh,
I really, really love that flatbread.
no
And
way.
I was like, this zhuzhes it up, in my opinion.
Okay.
I just felt like you could really tell the difference. It was homemade and it was really, really good. Just really good. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that Erin was making flatbread. Because when I pulled it, I was like, this is not your regular flatbread.
This ain't no tortilla.
No, this is no store-bought tortilla. And then when I remembered that you made it, I think that made it that much better.
Okay. Well, if you have time, you can. So I'll start there since we're talking about it. And from about start to finish, I made 10 flatbreads in just about an hour. Like it was just over an hour. And honestly, if I wasn't filming and blah, blah, blah with everything that we do for production value, I probably could have whipped these together in that 1 hour mark. And the recipe was really easy. It was self-rising flour, which I had to make myself because I don't keep self-rising flour at home.
I don't
It's a
either.
flour that's got baking powder and a bit of salt already mixed into it. So to make it up yourself, you're only adding 2 ingredients to all-purpose flour. So that's what I did, and all the recipe details will be on our website. And then so equal weights of flour and plain yogurt is what made this. As well as some oil and then more salt added to the dough. And so you mix that together, you get a very, very sticky ball of dough. So keep that flour cup with you. You're going to need it when it comes to rolling it out. Once you've got it mixed together, and then I put some more flour on it so I could kind of handle it and put it into a bowl, you want to let it sit and rest for 20 minutes. Which happens to be the perfect amount of time to prepare the little salad that goes on top of this kebab wrap. I don't know what to call this altogether. I keep likening it to like a chicken souvlaki where you've got meat, veggies, sauce, and then it's wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Like a
clearly not.
shawarma. No, shawarma is the style of meat.
Yeah, exactly,
Is it?
right?
Is it that thing that we always mispronounce? Well, I shouldn't include you in that, but a gyro, gyro, is that
Gyro?
gyro?
I
Is
know,
it
this is
something
what
like that?
I've always
Oh
felt like
dear.
that has to do with the meat and the way that the meat is cooked.
Yeah. And I think that's the
For some
same with
reason.
with souvlaki though, isn't it also?
Yeah, like you can have chicken souvlaki or lamb souvlaki or
So what do you call it when you put it all together in like a sandwich with a flatbread and salad? That's what we want to know. Okay, listener, let us know. Somebody come and tell us.
so while that dough was sitting on the side, I made my salad. So this is thin sliced red onion, tomato, and chopped up half a bunch of parsley. You add in some lemon juice, olive oil, salt, salted lemon paste salt,
Mm.
and sumac, and just mix that together. I used my hands so that I could kind of break down that salted lemon paste, which, if you don't know about it, come find out. Listen to us in one of our very first episodes of our very first season. Heather discovered salted lemons, and we've since been taking those salted lemons and we blend them up, and I keep them in my freezer now, and it just is this wonderful little paste that I can add into anything that's got lemons and or salt to just really punch that flavor.
Mm-hmm. So good. I need to make some. I'm completely out. I don't know how I let this happen because there's a bit of time
There
that you
is,
have to
yes.
let the lemons sit in the salt before they're ready to cook with. So I got to get on it.
You got to get on it, Heather.
Got to get on that. Oh my God.
New year, new lemons and salt. I also saw something that was saying do it with your blood oranges. And I was like, oh, dang. I might have
Salty
to try that.
oranges.
Right?
Oh.
So, just saying. Exactly. And it looked really pretty because you know how blood oranges, they're kind of variegated in their color. Like some of it is orangey, some of it's pink, some of it's really dark. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so curious. Now I got to do that.
So maybe salting all of your citrus is a good idea to explore with at some point in your life. If you've never done it, go for it. All right. And so that salad took nothing to put together, mixed together, popped it in my fridge. And I also had a sauce that went with this that I made at the same time as my dough rested. And it's called tahina sauce. So easy to make. I'm not going to get into measurements. They are on our website, but it is equal parts of tahini and water, lemon juice, salt, and salted lemon paste again. And just put that in a jar, shake it up, and put it into your fridge and let it sit.
Did you find the recipes that had salted lemon paste in them, or was that your modification?
That was me going, I'm putting lemon juice and salt into this. Therefore, I should put in salted lemon paste.
Okay. That's what I thought. And then I was like, oh my God, what if? What if she actually found recipes that called for pureed salted lemons? And I'm like, oh, what? That's
That would be
funny.
spectacular. The
Yeah,
only recipes out there are ours.
that's right. Because we love those salt preserved lemons so much, we've adapted them many ways.
They're just so freaking good. All right. So at that point, there's your 20 minutes of letting your dough rest. Then I divided my dough into 10 equal portions. I didn't do this by scale, it was super haphazard. But they were about a third of a cup, quarter of a cup of dough. Again, this is such sticky dough. You need like a handful of flour to roll the dough in as you divide it up into little portions. And then each portion you're just going to roll out on a floured surface until it's as thin as you can get it. And it's kind of like every other dough you roll out, you know, it stretches out really flat and then it springs back a bit. So you just have to multiple times roll it, flour it, flip it. Once you've got it rolled out, you're going to heat up a nice hot cast iron pan and get it really hot. You want it like medium high. You want this to be a hot, smoking hot pan. I put on the fan. I would also think this would be great to make on the barbecue on my nice piece of baking steel that I have, because you want that hot heat and it produces a lot of smoke with all the flour that's on your dough. And
Okay. I'm even picturing this like over the campfire.
ooh, ding, totally.
That'd be, oh, it would taste so good too.
Right?
Like, I just think things taste better when they're cooked. Maybe that's my
Oh,
imagination, but I don't
no,
care.
100%. They taste so much better when they are, I don't know, outside, fire cooked. You get all that smokiness in them. Anyway, so pop it in that hot pan. It's going to puff up and you can almost, and like bubble, and you can see where it's starting to cook. And it is only like a couple minutes per side, maybe not even, and then flip it over, let it cook really fast, and then remove it. And so I found that I could roll out one of the flatbreads in the time that it took to cook the flatbread, and then whoop, whoop, into the pan they go. And yeah, like if it's maybe a minute and a half per side, you're looking at 3 minutes of cook time. So 30 minutes of cooking.
That's actually less time to roll it out than I was expecting. Because sometimes, like you said, that springiness of it, you feel like you're rolling those things forever to get them to stay where you want.
Yeah, this springiness is definitely not like a yeast dough.
Okay.
It shrinks a bit, but it's definitely not. It's very soft. It's very fluffy. You have to be, it's pretty delicate, but just, you know, roll it out, pop it in the pan. And then, yeah, once they had mostly cooled, I just popped them into a plastic bag and kept them until dinner time. So they were fairly easy to do. And like in an hour in the morning, I had prepped my salad, made my sauce, made my flatbread. All that was left to do was make the kebabs.
Hmm.
And they came together so fast. So we started out making the kebabs by blending together parsley, onion, red pepper, and garlic in my Ninja to make a slurry of vegetables, maybe?
Oh,
Like it's
okay.
not as, because it's got so much water in it from the water content in the raw vegetables. So what you want to do is let that drain after you've blended it in like a cheesecloth lined strainer, and like even picked up the cheesecloth and gave it a nice squeeze to get that out. So then you're going to mix together the blended vegetables, your ground meat of choice. For us, I only did ground beef. I was considering maybe doing pork or lamb, but the prices at the superstore were astronomical. So you only got beef.
I know. Isn't that crazy to think like, oh, I'll use beef because the pork and lamb is too expensive? Like, what is this upside down world we live in? I mean, we're used to lamb being a little more expensive here, but beef
Lamb I
is
get,
not
but
the cheap
pork,
option. I know pork is just that is insane. What is happening? Is there like also a pig shortage? Like
Maybe
there
the
is a
pigs went on
beef
strike,
shortage? Well, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them
right?
one bit.
All right, so you've got your ground meat, your blended veggies, and to that, we added in chipotle pepper. I have a little jar of chipotle peppers in sauce, and it's just like oil, chipotle peppers, salt into like a little.
Adobo.
So
Interesting.
it's a
Okay.
little chipotle paste that I quite like. It's got some
Mm.
good smoky flavor, right?
Uh-huh.
So chipotle peppers in there, tomato paste, pepper, paprika, turmeric, and salt. And I wanted this to be really well blended together. And I'm not always a fan of blending it all together with my hands in ground beef. So I did this in my mixing bowl and popped it on my stand mixer with my mixing attachment and just let that go until it was like a nice, very homogeneous paste so that everything was well mixed in and nothing was like clumpy or lumpy.
Hmm.
And
That's a
so,
good way to do it.
yeah, I just kind of thought that might be easier than getting my hands in there and like having to, tend to stick to your fingers and like it gets kind of eh.
Well, also, I never am quite sure if I'm mixing it evenly distributing, in
Yeah.
this case, the like vegetable mixture, but sometimes even just seasonings. It's hard to know if it's really mixed all the way through. So I like the idea of just putting it in the with the mixing paddle on the mixer and letting it just kind of
Yeah, I was like, how can I outsource this? Who can I delegate this task to? Oh, my
yeah.
mixer. And I've also heard when you're making like a ground meat blend with like either a meatball or like a patty, you don't want to warm up the fat in the dough because it changes it, or
Oh
in the
yeah.
dough, the fat in the
Yeah.
meat,
I knew
it
what you
changes
meant.
it. Thanks for following my
I
brain.
didn't even clock that it was the wrong word. I'm just like, right, yes.
Awesome. Thanks for being here for me. Yeah, so I've heard that too, and I thought, well, that's a good way that I'm not messing with the fat in there. All right, so I covered a baking sheet in parchment paper, plopped my meat mixture on here, laid it out into this nice, like half-inch even spread. And then I have like a pastry cutter, one of those like counter scrapers. And you just want to make like little indents all the way down. So you're making like these little,
Like you're perforating it, kind of. Yeah.
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 And so all these little long rectangular strips lengthwise. And then you go and break it into these long, thin strips
Uh-huh.
in the other direction so that you've got kind of these long, thin strips of slightly perforated meat. I like that word. I'm going to use it.
Hmm.
It baked in my oven for 15 minutes at 425, and then you turn the broiler on for the last bit to brown it. I could have browned it, I feel like, a bit more. I'm always kind of I'm always afraid of over browning something with my broiler because I have a terrible habit of turning it on and walking away and
Yeah,
coming
me
back and
too.
going, well, that's burnt. Pop those out, bring out all your accoutrements that you have put together. So, flatbread, meat, salad, tahina sauce, wrap it, slap it onto the table.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm. In my mouth it goes.
Yum.
So good.
I think you could also do this with whatever seasonings and flavors you like. If you wanted to do this with a ground chicken and make it like you would make chicken souvlaki with, oregano, garlic, lemon salt, salted lemon paste, all that great stuff. You can just, make your favorite meat paste combination, grill it up like this, and pop it into a flatbread.
Mm, so yummy. I thought it was so delicious. And I like that because you're making it so thin on your pan, it cooks up so fast. So you're not waiting a long time for it to be done. You're not messing around with skewers like we talked about
Oh,
in the first
gosh.
half. It seems like just like the lazy cooks way. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, like,
No, we all want to be lazy cooks.
You want to be able to be lazy when you feel like being lazy, but you still want a fantastic meal at the end of it. And this is like one of those things.
Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I loved it. Yeah.
I would say make your salad, prep this stuff ahead of time. You can have the salad, the sauce, the flatbread. You can make that all up on a Sunday or a Saturday if you've got prep time in your weekend. Because the longer that those onions and tomatoes and all the lemon juice and everything sit together, the better that salad tastes.
I would suggest, though, depending on your feelings about soft tomatoes, I would suggest maybe holding the tomatoes until closer to when you want to eat it. Get the onions going ahead of time because they can sit in there for days because they'll still be crunchy and delicious. And they'll just get better, actually, like you said. Just add them in like an hour. Like when you're getting the meat going, throw your tomatoes into the salad. And then that way they'll still taste great, but they'll maintain a bit more of their structure.
I really like that. That's smart. You're on it this morning, Heather.
I know,
you
I'm
are
on the job.
It's that new coffee.
It's my new espresso machine. Can you tell? I haven't even drank 2 whole Americanos. I had 1.5 Americano, but I'm
flying high.
I'm on it. I'm flying high. I'm on the job. Okay. This is a very serious job here.
It is.
Well, I'm glad you made this because it was really delicious. And it's just a great example of how books can inspire us to want to go and cook something, which I love that the inspiration for it came from a book you were reading.
Yeah.
It's just fun. That's fun.
Why not? And now for the fine print. Links to recipes and other things we talked about in this episode can be found in the show notes or on our website, www.threekitchenspodcast.com. Come say hello on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok. We'd love to connect. And if you enjoy the show, pass it on. Word of mouth is the #1 way people learn about new podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. You smell that bird, and then you fucking fly.
Yeah.